to the show. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to introduce today's guest, Kari Klebba. She is from Milton in Wisconsin. She's doing an incredible job. And you guys, she got recognized for a huge award. And then I'm like, I need to have you on my podcast. And she was like she had fear in her eyes. She's like, no, 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 no. Finally convinced her after going viral over another social media post that she did, which could also win an award. And you're going to have all of these links in the show notes, and we're going to talk about them. But you're going to learn a lot today because Kari is in the trenches. She is a one-person shop for a district of about 3,500 students, and she's doing amazing, authentic storytelling that is really making a difference in the way that their school district is able to engage. She's going to talk about how she has built relationships and how she explains what her role is for the district. And then she's going to talk about some specific stories that she's been able to tell, how they've taken off, how they have really helped, showcase the amazing students and the exceptional staff that they have in their school district. You are going to learn a ton in this. And if you love what you hear, Kari has certainly been a loyal member of our membership program, but we're doing some teaching next month. I'm doing it for free, talking about how to really end the school year on a high note with ending the year strong on social media. I've got a free webinar coming up. I should have a link in the show notes of how to get signed up for that free webinar. But it's going to give you some simple tips that are really going to build good engagement going into the end of the year, because we know end of the year is a little bit crazy. But I'm going to give you some help on what to look for, how to plan some things out, and what you want to make sure to share. So before we get to the interview with Kari, let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip. It's the end of March, April. There's a lot to celebrate in April, but did you know that it's National Volunteer Month? Yes, it is. You should be recognizing your volunteers. You can do that with simple posts of them volunteering at your school with a little simple shout out. You could do a video series that talks about why they love to volunteer, because let's face it, many of us need more volunteers at our schools. But you should definitely recognize the people that make things happen in your school by giving them a shout out on social media. So National Volunteer Month is in April. I hope that you can take time to showcase those wonderful volunteers in your schools. Now let's get to this week's interview with Kari Klebba. Good morning, Kari Klebba. You are in the house, my fellow Wisconsinite. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
I am great. And you're a little bit nervous.
I am very nervous. I am somebody who really prefers being behind the camera. This is definitely me outside of my comfort zone, but here for my social schools crew, trying to help them see where I got to be at this point.
Yeah, you've done a great job in Milton. Your official role is communications, community outreach, and safety coordinator. So, and that's one of the reminders of social media is one of your hats, but it's not your only hat, but you are killing it in what you're sharing there in Milton. So why don't you just start by introducing kind of who you are and how you got into this role?
Sure. I joined the school district of Milton in November of 2019. My journey to the school district of Milton actually just follows just strong connections to the community. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I was a public history, public relations graduate. And I came to Milton professionally working for the Milton Historical Society and Milton House Museum. It's, for those who don't know, and a little plug for an amazing place, it's actually the last authenticated Underground Railroad station that can be toured in Wisconsin, is right here in Milton. It's part of Milton's phenomenal history, and I have been lucky enough to be a part of that and sharing those great stories. When the opportunity came at the school district of Milton for a communications, community outreach, and safety coordinator, my prior experience, not only through my studies in college, but also working with the Historical Society, were a pretty good fit. And I was really excited to join the team. And since then have been really, really proud of the work we're doing here in the district. And it's been an honor to share the stories of our students, our staff, and all those great things that are still happening in Milton, not just historically, not just Civil War era, but the things that continue to go on.
Yeah, I love that. You still get to tell stories, but they're happening now. And we're going to talk about some of those that have
Yeah.
went viral as well. Can you tell me a little bit about Milton, the school district? Like how big, how many schools, that kind of thing?
Sure. We are one of the broadest like square mile wise districts, I believe, especially in our area. And we range even into a different county. We have a historically perceived as a rural district, but I think of it more as like a destination community. Milton is a place where people move to raise their families. It has earned a reputation for having a phenomenal school district because of the great things that have happened, the opportunities our staff create. We have 4 elementary schools, that's K through 3. We have an intermediate school, 4 through 6, a middle school, which is 7 and 8. And then we have Milton High School. Milton High School has actually even received the #1 ranking of high schools in Rock County. And again, credit due to our students and our staff who make this district what it is.
Awesome. So you have that 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings, and about how many students?
Oh gosh, we just had those numbers come in. I'm so sorry. I want to say we are at 3,500, and
Okay.
please give that an approximate
Yes.
because yeah.
That's good. That just helps. And then you're the only one in the kind of the communication role. So how does social media, how do you manage social media for Milton? Do you just have district pages or do you have separate school pages? Tell me how that works.
Well, it's a great question. I manage our district community page, which is the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, excuse me. Some of our schools still hang on to their own Facebook accounts, and
Okay.
we also have a lot of active sports groups.
Yep.
Like the boys basketball team will have their own, and it's a dynamic that works for our district. It is there's not a lot of overlap. It's an opportunity to use social media for the resource that we do here. When you're talking about what my role is, in Milton, social media, particularly our Facebook page, is one of those one-stop shops for information. It's where we see the community going broadly to see what's going on, what are the events that are coming up. I'm sure many of our other school communicators know exactly what I'm talking about. We have 2 local papers, but we're seeing more and more people shifting over to social media for where they get their news. That is it's a heavy task, but it's also an exciting one because we have this great opportunity to get information out to our community through a really active following on social media.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm going to make sure I'm bringing up your page right now on Facebook. Facebook, would you say, is that your #1 platform?
With our community, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's snowing in Wisconsin. So you've got the great snow picture there for your cover image. We're going to give you the links to all of Kari's social media items. Ooh, I see you've got a referendum coming up, and this will obviously air after we're recording this, but it's all good stuff. Really nice graphics. Kari does a great job. So definitely check those things out. That's awesome. So you are a one-person shop. You got 3,500 students to celebrate, and you rely heavily on getting staff to get stories to you. So how do you do that?
Well, I mean, thank you for emphasizing it's the one person stop. So that means I have a centralized location at the district office. And with as many square miles as we do in this district, our schools are widely spread apart. So you have to rely on your community partners, on your staff, on those volunteers to help you not only give you where the content's going to be, like generate those hot tips, as it were, but also help provide the stories to you for sure. And I think I had the advantage of having a community that we already had following this group, but at the same time, our opportunity was to shift away perhaps from the type of reporting that they were using social media for, and refocus, realign on celebrations, on catching those authentic moments, on catching genuine interactions between students and staff, between students and students. I want to give credit to the people who were in my role previously. They did a really great job of capturing compelling images, but the truth is a lot of them were athletics focused. A lot of them were from particular schools, and a lot of that came from just who was managing the page and what they were located to. So when I came into the role, I think it was one of the more nerve-wracking things. It was that first introductory email. You know, some people knew me just from my role over at the Milton Historical Society in the museum. So I guess that helped a little bit, but like I said, I'm not one who likes to be front and center. I'm not one who even likes to raise my hand. I'm definitely the one who thinks of myself as a support. And that's exactly how I viewed this role. Was I'm a communications coordinator, and I am here to support our staff. I am here to support our students, and I'm here to help them highlight, showcase, and strengthen their connections to the community through communications, whether that's through social media, through a newsletter, which I created, video content. Like, my role is to help them. And that was the first big step, was getting them to believe in this role. Mm-hmm. When you have so many different entities running their own Facebook voices or their own Twitter, you'll see that there was almost like why? Like, why do I need to send her the content when I already am sharing on my own page, on my own Facebook page, that we've got this game coming up, or I already highlighted on our classroom page that we had this guest speaker. And I want to say it was those first couple of relationships built where we saw a teacher who didn't really post much separately. They didn't have their own classroom page. They didn't have their own sports page, but they said, hey, I have this thing. It's probably not, I even remember her kind of being like, it's probably not that big of a deal, but I just kind of wanted to see what you thought about this. And we shared it, and it generated positive support from the community. You know, people like reaching out, being like, oh my gosh, you know, and calling her out by name. What a great job you did. Oh, my kids were so lucky to have you. And we started seeing from there, from just catching a genuine and authentic moment in the classroom where it was just students interacting with each other, we started seeing more of those pictures start to come in. Now, forgive me for not calling out specifically who it is. I just don't want to, you know, like, but it was the beginning. And that was from November of 2019 until about March of 2020. And everybody remembers what happens around then. My role shifted dramatically because not only was I communications coordinator, I was also safety coordinator. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of our communications started getting focused, perhaps not even on celebrations, but just on what are we doing? Okay, right. We don't, you know, what are our answers? How do we respond? What's the plan? And if it wasn't for those genuine relationships that we had built, I don't know how we would have been able to communicate out with our community about what was going on in those virtual classrooms. Because I couldn't get out to those buildings. I couldn't get out there with my camera and take those pictures. But when we would get screen grabs of Zoom meetings, or we would get you know, pictures of a teacher doing prep work at her table, those were big deals. And that would not have happened had we not had those foundations built just in a couple of weeks there between 2019 and March of 2020. From there it grew.
Yeah. So just a couple things that I want to emphasize of what you talked about, the importance of your staff understanding your role. And you really described it well. I wish I could have written everything down, but you know, basically you are that megaphone to amplify all of the great things happening. And you cannot be in all 7 of your buildings at once knowing what's happening. So you really kind of explained, hey, this is my role. This is why you have to send me stuff, because I can't watch all of your pages. I can't be in all of your classrooms. And then you just talk about the importance of relationships. And it's what comes down, everything comes down to relationships. And so building those relationships, showing those staff members that, yes, that is awesome. Like, and I'm sure when you go into a school, Kari, you're like, oh my gosh, we should tell the community this and this and this. You can see all of these things. And when our staff are just in the rut of the, and not rut, but they're doing very important work, but it's just everyday stuff to them. They may not see that this is incredible and that we should share it. But when you can get them out of their comfort zone to share it, all of a sudden it's like, wow, like that's such a lift, right?
Right. And I would say my tip for that is that I don't know if it's a community thing, but we have a humble staff. They do great things. They are high quality. They are exceptional teachers and staff and support teams here, but they don't like the camera. And I sometimes feel like the least popular person in the room, because the second that camera comes out, it feels like you just see educators disappear. They don't want to be in the picture. But here's the tip. It's when you have those conversations, when you build those relationships, you explain to them, this isn't me putting Mrs. Smith this is about celebrating those kids, those amazing students in your classrooms. I want to share their stories. They are in your classroom. Can I be there? Take a couple of pictures. And when you start talking more kids focused, front and center, and even allow the educator to have the opportunity to not be in the picture. Believe it or not, that's one of the powerful sells, is say, you don't have to be in this picture. There's more of a welcoming to come to my classroom, to come to my school. Please capture these moments. We do it for the kids, right?
Right.
That's what the teachers are here for too. Showing that through the posts that you make, making sure that your message is always front and center, that we're here celebrating the great things happening in our district for our kids. That really, really helps forge those bonds, forge those connections, and frankly, establish the trust that you're here to tell their story of the kids.
Yeah, I love that tip. That's really, really good. So Kari, you're part of the Social School for EDU membership program. We kind of call it the crew. And so can you just tell me in a few sentences how that helps support you in your role?
Well, as again, somebody who is by nature pretty shy, it's nice having a community of people who do what you do, who get you, and who, when you do raise your hand and say, I need help, or can anybody help me get over this hump? I've got an idea, I just can't finish it. The crew is amazing for jumping in and being like, oh, here's some positive feedback, or here's some input, or here's things that you can do to improve. And that means a lot coming from people who know what you are going through, know the steps you need to take. That's what makes the crew such an important resource.
So tell me a little bit about some of the inspiration that you've been able to draw from our crew, from the membership program we offer, and what happened to your page.
Yeah, well, we talk about the crew for being a support group, but it's also a great source for inspiration. And the summer months can be difficult in our role. Like when we don't have the kids in the classroom, what are those things that we can do? And the crew often has those like tips through podcasts or even from the email chain that we get from you. And I remember it was just this most recent summer, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Like we've got summer school. I need some fresh ideas. I need some content. And in one of the social crew posts, it was, hey, crew, don't forget that we have the Title IX anniversary coming up. This might be a great opportunity for you to, do like some throwback Thursday photos, celebrating it. Well, this ties into my passion for history, the history of Title IX, celebrating the great things about Milton. And I went,
can you explain what Title IX is?
Oh my gosh, sure. Yeah. For those who don't know, Title IX is actually the federal regulation that will guarantee that there's no discrimination based on sex when it comes to utilizing resources within a public school system or a system that requires federal funding. And most people associate it with its connection to female athletics or women in sports. Milton actually has a very lengthy history in women in sports. This is me with my history nerd hat on. But I mean, we had active girls athletic associations dating back even to turn of the 20th century. So it was a great opportunity to go back into those yearbooks and go back into those archives and get some pictures of athletics throughout the years in Milton. What was phenomenal too is I kind of planned it out as a way of like, engaging people during the summer months, drawing in community members, because this isn't just something that resonates with our parents and our families. This is a great way of engaging alumni. This is a great way of engaging people who are all about Milton sports, Milton athletics. And we did a one-day series where I highlighted women in athletics, the history of Title IX, and we saw incredible engagement and we saw growth in our followers just from this planned out series. And I was very, very proud that it received the recognition it did. And we submitted it for consideration for WSPRA, that's the Wisconsin School Public Relations Association. And I'm very proud to say it received an award for excellence based on the success of the campaign, not only to highlight the great things happening, the great things that have happened, and also to encourage more people to follow you. So I know that's a really long-winded answer. Again, that's the historian in me coming out, but it's just an idea that would not have really come to fruition if it had not been for the crew giving that inspiration. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And I'm really grateful for the fact that the crew was there to celebrate and cheer me on when we did see the success in that series go out.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, I mean, you get started by a little idea, but then you guys always take it to the next level and really make it your own. And then it's like, oh my gosh. So that's the power of being in a group like that. And the membership program does cost money. It's pretty affordable for an annual subscription. And it's definitely going to make your job a little bit easier. So thanks for sharing that story, Kari, and congratulations on that award. It is much deserved.
Thank you so much.
One of the things that you reached out to was, hey, I got this video. How do I change this into a reel? And then all of a sudden it goes viral. So tell me a little bit about that video that you knew something was happening and kind of captured it. Just tell me about that.
So I'm a historian by nature. Allow me to give you the history, if that's okay. We go back to building those authentic relationships. And it was winter of 2021. And we had a teacher reach out about something so simple. And it was just a message to his class. And it was about the ice orbs. And when I say orbs, I mean orb BS, ice orbs. It was an all school email. And he said, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm putting together some ice orbs. They're going to be out on the playground, in the snow. The kids might play with them if they mention what's going on. And it was just this kind of like nothing email that he sent out, just making sure people knew. But I ran over when I got that email because I'm like, what are ice orbs? This is neat. This is new. What's an ice orb? So I'm there bundled up with my, we had our masks on and we had our scarves on, and I'm out there and he's cutting out these balloons and dropping off these ice orbs. Can you picture what I'm talking about? Like they look like these like bowling ball size blocks of ice colored with food coloring. Okay. And he was just putting them out as something fun for the kids to play with at recess. And we took pictures of the ice orbs being set out. I took pictures of the kids playing with them at recess. And it was one of those like posts that just kind of exploded. Like during COVID times, following that shutdown, we saw community members just respond to seeing kids playing and having fun and being goofballs. And this teacher who saw this kind of what seemingly innocuous thing just resonate so much with the community kind of made him this go-to person for ideas for social media content. So he goes by Mr. Terry, and Mr. Terry had reached out to me earlier this school year, letting me know ice orbs were coming back. And then he also mentioned that his classroom has this tradition, and he was wondering if I could come by and take a video because he kind of wanted to preserve it for a singer-songwriter. So tell me more, right? There's a singer-songwriter named Andy Grammer, and he has this song called Don't Give Up on Me. And we've seen it on YouTube. It's been around for several years. And he played it for his students as kind of like a morning treat, like a morning sing-along song. And the students who are first graders, just loved this song and started asking for it every single day. And there's a line in the song about, I reach my hand out and wait for yours to interlock. And he said the kids started like just holding hands during the song just naturally. And it became how they started their morning every day, singing about don't give up on me. I believe in you as long as I'm with you. We've got this, while holding hands. And he wanted to take a video to send to Andy Grammer. I was thrilled to be asked to do it. I was thrilled that he trusted me to come into his classroom to capture this moment. And I asked him, is this something that I could share broadly? You know, can I share this with our district? Because these are those moments that really resonate with people. And he asked for parental permission. I got in there and I did the recording. It was very moving being a part of it.
Yeah, because just by the way, we're gonna link to it, but I can't watch it. And as you're describing it, I'm almost crying because I can't watch the video without crying. I'm one of those moms. But it is very, very moving the way that you put it together. And just the moment that you got to capture.
There's this, it's just this great moment where they're yeah, like I'm gonna get choked up even thinking about just being there as an adult, seeing these kids. And I remember even being like, can you imagine if we had, as adults, started our day every day with our coworkers, like in this like linked hands, like we've got this team, I believe in you, like there's nothing we couldn't accomplish. And he created that environment in his classroom for these kids. There's one sequence in the video, and I don't know if everybody's gonna resonate with them as much as it did me, but you have this little boy in the front and his eyes are closed and he is just feeling the music and like he's grabbing these hands with such passion. And I was just like, that is so special. I'm so glad I got to be here for this. And I'm so glad that we have the families okay and we have our teachers okay to share this moment out. So I timed the post very specifically as one of our winter break posts. And as those who are in the crew know, those are those posts that you schedule out ahead of time. And I thought it was going to be a really great post to kick off winter break. And from there, it just exploded. Like we just saw it shared time and time again. You know, my Facebook was constantly ding, 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 dinging. We saw it on our Twitter page also, but it was just a message that, especially during the winter holiday season, people really, really responded to. And it was not long before it was turning into like 1,000 likes. And we have so many shares. Like just looking at our analytics today, we are already at, what is this? 1,291 shares. And that's from the Facebook analytics. We're already there. What was really special was that we actually even got a comment from Andy Grammer. So he had been tagged enough in this post that he actually responded and said, you know, Mr. Terry, this is amazing. I'm so grateful. I reached out to you guys because my goal is to get better at reels. I have not done much practice with that, but I thought this was a really great opportunity. And you know who beat me to it? Was Andy Grammer's team. They actually took clips from the video. They made their own reel and it exploded a second time through his own page. So it's been amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch a genuine moment, something that was captured just not because they were trying to generate the likes, but just trying to capture something for their classroom. To see it not only get the reactions it has from our community, but also nationally, excuse me, is something that I'm just so proud of and proud to have been a part of.
Yeah, it's just a reminder, you know, that the world needs those simple moments. They're happening all the time. How did you capture it? Did you just film it with your phone or did you have a special camera?
I actually had 2 cameras set up, and one was just kind of stationary, just on a tripod. And then I have the small rig set up and I attached it to my phone and was able to capture it just kind of walking around the room. I wanted to make sure, as we know in the crew, you zoom with your feet, not with your camera. And so I wanted to be mobile enough that I could get in an authentic, again, get in to see the faces, hear those voices singing loud and clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful. So we're going to link to that. Good for you. And you know, the goal really never is to go viral. I mean, it's just to tell these stories, but when they do resonate well, they're going to reach a lot of people, and they reach a lot of people in such a positive way. Such a message of hope for teachers like Mr. Terry that are doing incredible things for our students. Like you said, what this can teach to adults about the way we start our days, and how if we could focus a little bit on, believing in one another, how much better of a world this would be, right?
Yeah, and you hit on something that I have gotten from the crew. If I can paraphrase it a little bit, it's that, like, those genuine moments, the ones that aren't created because we're trying to draw clicks. We're not creating these moments trying to bring more people to our page. Those are the ones that, as a social media manager, as someone who does communications, you see are the ones that resonate with the community. I mean, the public knows when somebody's telling them a story with an agenda, but these moments that we can capture from within our schools that tell about the great things, those are really helpful to get those messages out to the community.
Yeah, definitely. It's like mic drop right there.
Oh.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'm going to just wrap up. You've given a lot of tips already, but just to summarize your best social media tip, what would you say it would be?
It is forge those relationships. Don't be afraid to talk to your staff, particularly your front office staff. That's who I think is underutilized resource in a lot of schools, and your educators, and highlight your role as support, not as a director, not as a coordinator, but as a supporting role, somebody who's just there to just elevate what you're already doing. That can really, really help cement and affirm those relationships that are essential to our jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kari, everybody wants to hang out with you now. So what's the best way to stay connected to you? Would it be your email address, or is there somewhere on social media to connect with you?
You can email me anytime. It's my last name, Klebba, with my first initial K, at milton.k12.wi.us. And that is as much of a mouthful as my career title. So if you can share that out, I'd be grateful. But also, I am on the Social Crew Facebook page, and I do follow that pretty regularly. So reach out, tag me on there anytime you need to.
Awesome. So we'll put her email in there, and we're gonna link to Mr. Terry's, a couple of those social media posts. Also just that ice orbs. So because I still need a visual. So we're gonna link to that show, that post as well, so everybody can see that.
And the ice orbs are back, people. So you'll see one from pretty recent. The kids are out and about on the playground now. We've got lots of playful videos.
Okay, awesome. So we'll get that to you guys. You might want to bring it to your school. So Kari, you did awesome. You didn't sound nervous at all. It got better, didn't it?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm incredibly nervous. Thank you for saying that. But really, this is all about, I'm hopeful that this experience and my awkwardness and my nervousness help those people who are in this career in the same capacity I am, that we're here because we like being behind the camera. We like sharing the stories. We like capturing the moments. This is not our comfort zone to be in front of the camera, but I want you to know I'm here for you. I totally get it. And this is all about supporting each other. We can do this.
Kari wasn't a volunteer. She was voluntold to be on this podcast, actually, because I'm like, Kari, this is awesome. We need to get you on the podcast. She's like, oh my gosh. So if you have a story to tell, whatever it might be, I'd love to have you on this podcast. It's a weekly show. I am never going to run out of awesome people like Kari to talk to. And this is my favorite part of this job, is getting to do this podcast. So Kari, thanks for hanging out with me. Listeners, thanks for hanging out with me as well. If Kari did a great job, make sure, leave a review for this podcast. We would appreciate it. Give her a shout out on her email. If you've got additional questions, certainly reach out, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.